my cord behind me.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Summit 2 by G2A.com. We've got the SEA region tonight, 5 big ones. I'm Zyori, this is Coddle Guy. Later, he'll be replaced by LD, but we're going to get some good Coddle hours in.
Let's do it. I'm excited to see Dota. I had been doing a lot of the American shift lately, and I guess I need to brush up on a bit of my C knowledge.
So broaden those horizons, dude. Got to get out there.
Let's get the knowledge going.
Yeah, knowledge bombs. So we're going to hop right into it. We've got Rave versus IAP to get it started, Team Execration. And this is exciting because IAP is going to be at Star Ladder, so we're getting a little taste of what's to come here.
And they just got that little bit of a sponsorship, not an official one, but Steel Series has opted to help them out with some of those peripherals, a little bit of the extra gear. So they are getting a bit of extra support, a bit of extra oomph. They will be the underdogs, I would imagine, going into Star Ladder, but let's see if these boys got some spunk in them and put on a hot show for us right here, because we could also possibly see them come over here to our own house.
It's possible, very well, if they take a victory here. And they are the pretty heavy favorites, at least on D2L Execration, 71% over the 29 of Rave. So we'll see how they fare. Important to note that Rave do have a stand-in. They've got Boombox here in the place of who's supposed to be Ninja Boogie. I think he's still officially listed on their roster, but yeah, he is. But he wasn't playing with them yesterday, so I don't know if there's the old switcheroo happening, but always difficult to play without one of your star players there.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We've seen other teams be able to pull it out with some stand-ins. Maybe they have some history working together. Maybe they auditioned this player at one point. You know, who knows what kind of history they have behind them. But regardless, Rave are going to look to pull it on through without the Ninja Boogie being present. And I guess we can talk about this draft.
Yeah,
nothing too out of the ordinary here. And if you got first pick, why not get the horse god himself, Centaur? He is the pick right now. I think if you really don't know what the game plan for yourself is going to be, Horse God's like a safe bet. Like, you just know he's going to add a big impact regardless of what your strategy is.
You can't go wrong with him. He's a good all-around pick. I can't think of really any draft where Centaur doesn't work in some way unless you're already racking up the offlaners. Also just really popular in this region. IAP, they get Team Silence here out of the gate. Death Prophet and Skywrath Mage. Plenty of silence onto the field. Skywrath got a little bit of that nerf coming out his way with the cooldown on Concussive Shot, but still pretty damn strong, worth a pick. And, well, not so bad against the Centaur, actually. If you have that silence, you can lock him down before he can get off that Stampede, makes him a little more susceptible. And, well, Rave going to go with a good support duo. They get the Ancient Apparition and now the Sand King, so those two moving around. Burrow Strike. Pretty long stun on it and does make for fairly easy cold feet procs.
Yeah, I like that a lot. The thing, though, it makes me a little bit nervous for, Skywrath Mage, Ancient Apparition on the other side. He will be very susceptible to the Ice Blast. He's a very, very flimsy man. He may have wings, he may move quick, but you throw a snowball in his face and he'll go crumbling quickly. And they also decide to pick up the Razor into a Ancient Apparition. So Razor, who's typically one of the mech holders, the big mech holders for your team, now he might have to second guess his build priority, and the sustain is going to be in question with him on the other side. But I agree, Sand King's great. But these two together already puts out the notion from Rave that we're not looking to get too aggressive early. We're not going to roam around too much. AA's not great at ganking in the mid lane, and Sand King likes to go in the jungle and meet that quota as far as getting a Blink Dagger. So I wouldn't be surprised. Well, I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised if IAP or, the Execration boys decide to go with more of a greedy lineup as far as supports. But, they do grab an Ogre McGee, which a lot of teams love, the Ogre Magi.
Yeah.
I love him, too. I mean, I loved him since the get-go, and he's just getting buffs and buffs and buffs, and now he's got 2.5 health regen and 7 armor naked. That's absolutely ridiculous. So, and we saw it earlier today, I believe. It's been a long day already, Zyori, but it was Secret taking on Tinker. We saw Big Daddy pick up Ogre, and he completely shut down Koikva in the off lane on Legion Commander. He just kept going up to him, throwing out the harassment, the fire, went through all of his regen, and he had to go back to base like at level 1. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, he's a good hero. All those jelly rolls add up for a lot of armor, even though he's kind of in the nude. He still can take a beating early on. But you're certainly right. Rave may be looking at a Faceless Void pick, perhaps. These two supports, AA Sand King, they strike me as supports that synergize well with the Void, but hey, there you go, old Lycanthrope. He's one that's really fallen off in popularity. This big patch, his ultimate now with the cast time and everything else. The Wolf's still very powerful. Hal's still great for some split pushing, but not nearly that same beast he once was. So we'll see how Rave use him here. Now they have some pushing power with their lineup, and now I'm not feeling so confident about that Faceless Void pick after all.
Yeah, he used to be the hot commodity in the previous patch. First ban, first pick, kind of like how Death Prophet is now. But, you know, we could see her fall off quite a bit. But, yeah, Lycan's great. He still can get the job done. You know, his base attack was nerfed quite a bit. The shapeshift time is a bit nerve-wracking, but overall he still has now incredible move speed. He's a regular race car. And the HOW, the global HOW works nicely. So now you got global HOW, global Stampede, and a global Ice Blast. So a lot of global. That's what I'm going with here. That seems to be Rave's game plan. And IAP, they finish out with an Elder Titan for what looks like their offlane grab. So now you got huge magic damage. Let me talk about this for a moment. We got Natty Order working together with Ancient Seal and the Fire Blast on top of that. I mean,
and
if
plus
he gets
Razor's ultimate, you're chipping away at the armor there.
This is ridiculous. If he gets off a big multicast on someone who's in the area or the neighborhood of an Elder Titan and happens to get Ancient Seal, they are going to take huge damage.
Yeah, this is a pretty scary lineup from IAP. I think a good bit of synergy as well. A lot of pushing power with the Death Prophet and the Razor. Some nice mid-game team fighting. I think they'll probably still go for a mech. Against Ancient Apparition, it's kind of an odd item pickup where his ultimate counters it, but you can usually wait for it to finish off, and as long as nobody's in range of Shatter, you can still use that mech and get a fair bit of utility out of it. Rave, they'll do something a little off-kilter here and pick up the Timber Saw. So it appears it'll be probably a safe lane Lycan with Timber Saw in the mid and Centaur headed to the off lane. So Core Timber, an exciting hero to watch, but still kind of an odd pick here.
Yeah, Timber had fallen off for a bit, and now in this new patch, he's been slowly resurfacing. And he was primarily picked up as an offlaner for quite a while. He used to be a big mid lane grab way back in the day, but that seems to be coming back now, and I also agree that this is potentially going to be what they do with him, is throw him in that mid lane, and he could be contesting the Death Prophet, which can be a bit scary, you know. But then again, with this new 6.82C, her Crypt Swarm was nerfed down quite a bit, so she is going to need a lot of levels before that Crypt Swarm can do big, significant damage.
That new popular build where you go for that third point in Crypt Swarm, then max out the Witchcraft, isn't quite as good as it used to be. That was the value point, where it was a big upgrade in the first 3 levels, and then that fourth point in Crypt Swarm was only a plus 50 instead of a plus 75. But now they leveled it out so it scales the same way at each level. And more of that kind of classic DP build, as I like to think of it, may be a little more of the standard here. But, whoa, look at this Ogre, man. He's tricked out some cosmetics. Look at this. He's got the inscribed Lighted Scepter of Serendipity. I like that.
Whoa. Whoa, he's been hitting up the Urban Outfitters.
Seriously, he's got 4x multicast Fire Blasts on those guys, 5 of them.
Only 5.
Only 5. So
he doesn't play a lot of Ogre then. Not with this set, at least.
Or he's just very unlucky and rarely hits level 16. It's
man, I hope he's praying to RNGesus for this kind of a game, because, like I said, you put that together with the Aura, with the Seal, man, he's going to be dealing out huge, huge damage.
I do like this style, though. The mask split in half, giving it on.
It's like the Phantom of the Opera.
One of the Ogres. Yeah, this is nice. The Ogre is pretty ugly, so I guess
you got to hide half it.
Phantom of the Opera, pretty fair analogy there. But this Rave lineup, it is a little bit interesting, though. It seems a little all over the place. You've got Timber Saw, who's like this great mid-game fighter. Yeah. You've got Lycan, the great split pusher. 2 supports that are more greedy, team fight-oriented, that both need a lot of experience. And then Centaur, who's another kind of good mid-game hero. So, I don't know. I feel like IAP have the late game secured, and there are no slouches in that mid-game when Rave will really kind of come online.
You know what? I'm going to have to say that the late game can be up in the air, though. It looks like Timber is going to go to the off lane, and it's going to be a Lycan towards the mid lane. And I think the game plan here for the side of Rave is hoping that this Timber Saw can bring in that sufficient farm and be able to snowball. That way all attention's on him and the big power plays he's going to be making, and taking that away, the attention away from the Lycan, and allowing him to build up that farm, and he can do the big pushing power we've seen. But top lane, we might see a bit of a tip right here.
Oh, here we go. Chemo starts it off with a Fire Blast. Cass taking a lot of damage. He'll get slowed down. He'll take the staple gun to the face. In comes the Burrow Strike from Sand King. Will it be enough to save the Ancient Apparition? A few more auto attacks to bring him down. The hoof stomp.
Astral.
It's a complete whiff. Can they get the Astral off? In comes Fox. He finds the first blood with the Plasma Field. IAP with a successful invade. But is it done yet, Jay? He's going to get left behind. There's another stun on the Sand King. That'll lock him in place. Not enough mana for another hoof stomp. Taking a lot of damage here, but now they'll turn it around. It's a full-out war at the top lane. Oh. It'll be a 2-for-1 as now Death Prophet goes down. They've lost their Sand King. They turn onto the Centaur. He'll have enough for a hoof stomp pretty damn soon, but maybe not soon enough. Fire Blast cools down on McGee. There's the stun. It's making it a 3-for-1. Now Jo. Uh-oh, he's going to get slowed down as well. Coddle Guy. This is disastrous for the Dire side. IAP making out like bandits here.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Summit 2, by the way. This is just a rubble in the jungle just to lead things off, and it's working definitely to the benefit of Execration / IAP as they come out on top 3-1 there, getting some nice early pickoffs right there. And Rave thought they had the moment there to do a bit of a counter initiation, but it ends up not really working out for them. So this is a big boost for IAP when they go back to their laning setup.
Nice, let's see, 600 gold net worth, maybe 300 experience before the creeps even spawn. Yeah, not too shabby for IAP out of the gate. Let's take a look at these lanes and see how things are going to settle down. Looks like on the Radiant side, it'll be Away on the Elder Titan, headed to the off lane. Jay going to be mid on the Death Prophet. It'll be a safe lane try around this Razor. Fox on the Lightning Revenant himself, Chemo. He'll be here on the Ogre Magi, and that puts Emma Stone on this Skywrath Mage, who's already stacking and pulling here in the jungle.
And Dire's side, we got Team Rave on your bottom lane. It's Chrissy Hart. He's going to be playing your Timbersaw on the mid lane. Looks like we got Jo. He's going to be playing your Lycanthrope on the top. We got a trifecta happening right here, and it's going to be Mr. Cast. He's playing your Ancient Apparition. We got Rio playing your Centaur Warrunner, the Horse God, and of course that leaves Mr. Boombastic. He's going to be playing your Sand King.
Yeah, absolutely. So interesting to see the tri-lane build around the Centaur. This means they'll prioritize the farm on Big Brad, and he'll be looking at a very well-timed Blink Dagger. So seems the general strategy will be to secure that initiation tool, let him roam around and create some space for the other lanes, and really let this Lycan come online. But he should have his work cut out for him here. Death Prophet getting the better of him so far, 10-4 versus the 6-0 Lycan. Still hasn't skilled up those wolves, but there you go. Now maybe he'll find some recovery farm, but DP off to the races.
This is a 2-minute rune to pop up, and this is what makes Ogre so good. He can contest these runes no problem. Though Timber does get it, but he can be right there. He can take a lot of pot shots because of that thick, fat skin, and that big armor allows him to take all the harassment but be able to stand strong, maybe get a delayed fire blast to lock him in place, and then he can quickly snag up that room. Just part of the reason why Ogre can be such a great support. And, well, in typical C fashion, we're going to have another bit of a pause. The hamster has fallen asleep, and we need to get it running again on the wheel.
Yeah, always connection issues here when you're talking about Pinoy Dota. Took us a long time to load in, and well, this probably won't be the last pause of the game, unfortunately. But offlane Elder Titan for the Radiant, he's doing all right out of the gate. Those early kills helping him out with 3 assists already. Has his boots up, and well, it could be a little gank coming his way, but I think this Sand King may be well advised just to get in the jungle earlier rather than later. He has himself a set of boots, now the double damage rune. Looks like he already has a stack up here. Is this already a triple stack? Yeah, it is. Wow, okay.
Yeah.
He's getting really efficient in the jungle. So
that's good. The only downside to this is obviously they're not going to be doing any sort of pressure on Death Prophet in the mid lane, so she should have free will to build up the early farm, meet her quota of grabbing those phase boots that Yules, become race car status, and then build up the extra beef from there, and then become that true Death Prophet problem that we've come to know and love. And the other thing that I'm a little worrisome though for IP is they only have a fair amount of lockdown, not a whole lot, pretty much just that fire blast. So you don't get that usual synergy you'd like to slam down a nice mystic flare like your Faceless Void, like your Legion Commander, or anyone else who can lock them in their place.
Yeah, I feel like there's sort of a lot riding on the back of this Elder Titan to get off some decent Echo Stomps. If you can set it up with the Echo Stomp and then hit him with a slow like that concussive shot, then Skywrath can probably find a good Mystic Flare, but easier said than done in a lot of these cases. And you'll see a lot of Elder Titans not even grab that early point in Echo Stomp and still go for that 0-4-4, max out that Natty Order and the Astral Spirit for maximum pokage. But initial laning phase looking pretty good for the Radiant side. Down bottom, we'll see the dive out onto Chrissy. 2 points in the Timber Chain. He should be all right going for the defensive offlane build here with the value point and reactive armor. Now he's going to man up onto Fox a little bit, but well, take some return damage from that plasma field, though. No kill coming out on either side.
Not a whole lot of CS for him, but that's kind of expected when you're going against this kind of a lane. It can be pretty aggressive with Ogre constantly hopping and bopping inside and out. But now he has the opportunity to try to get as much as possible from under the tower. But his main focus, he's got to get a hold of those arcanes early, get a bit of the extra resources so he can try to do some big damage. He wants to be all eyes on him. That way their Lycanthrope can have the free will to get what he wants later in the game.
The big disaster for the Dire is this mid lane. Jo is just getting rocked right now. 15-1 to the 29-6 Death Prophet. Jay is doubling his farm halfway through level 5. They'll be even on experience, and Ancient Apparition will deny that rune pickup that Jay was going for. So that'll slow him down a little, but This CS war is just going so well for IAP.
He's not getting the help that you normally would like to get when you're going against a Death Prophet, because AA is not really good at ganking about, and the Sand King, he needs to get a Blink Dagger. So that's two supports that are not going to be assisting Lycan in this mid lane, so he just has to kind of tough it out for now and hope that Death Prophet doesn't become a huge problem. But if she does, she could eventually just take control of this lane and maybe even get an early ultimate and go for the tower.
Yeah, now Centaur is finding all that safe lane farm and actually out-farming the Razor by a pretty good margin as well. Fox slacking on that front as only 17 last hits on him. He will find Basilius as well as Phase Boots, so getting those core items, but Ryu on the top lane. He's at 1,600 gold just about, and 5 minutes in, we're looking at a great Blink Dagger timing, and maybe if they can get a pick-off or two on that Death Prophet, Lycan will be right up to where he needs to be in terms of net worth.
Horse God is doing so good this game. You're 30 and 20 CS. That's ridiculous right now. So he knows that, and he's going to go right forward into that Blink Dagger, and that's going to be a huge, huge problem. He's about to have his level 6. That Stampede works so nicely both offensively and defensively. So even if they have the opportunity on the side of Execration to get that lockdown in Mystic Flare, he can just pop that R button and they'll get out in just a jiff. No problem.
Yeah. Certainly so. The offlaners are doing pretty comparable. In terms of CS, they both have 6. Chrissy will grab another one there, and both soon to be level 5, well through level 4. So pretty good news on that front. That is the big even part, and with this big stack in the jungle finally getting taken out, Boombox 1,300 gold. He may have his Blink Dagger at a semi-similar timing to the Centaur. He did stop off for his Tranquil Boots, so at this rate, double Blink Daggers right around that 10-minute mark, that could be very scary for IAP, and that's before the race car of Death Prophet is really online, and she'll be still very susceptible to all that stun setup. McGee finds an invisibility rune, rotates down bottom, sees Chrissy, but with 3 points in the Timber Chain, securing a kill on him with the lack of stun, as you mentioned, is just basically impossible.
Yeah, and you have a lot of stun the other side from Rave, and that global presence, and now when they get those Blink Daggers, the initiation is going to be ridiculous. And
yeah, there's your level 6 on Centaur also.
They're going to bring the pain. They're going to bring the pain. They're going to forget about Jo and his Lycan. Lycan's going to push forward to get a hold of a Vlad's, and at that point, he could sneak himself into that Rosh pit, get that done, while Execration are going to be dealing with the big team fights from the rest of his, the rest of his side.
Is under attack.
And Boombox still just hanging out in the jungle, stacking up. Looks like he'll stack up the hard camp once more. Jo, where's he going in terms of farm? Picked up his Basilius, another 900 gold. Appears he'll just be going for the standard build right into a Vladimir's offering, and opens up some Rosh possibilities for him. See Chemo trying to be sneaky here in the bottom lane, but gets scouted out, not going to be able to do a hell of a lot. It will be a while before this Ancient Apparition hits level 6. That is one thing that could hold back the team fighting of Rave just a little bit. Only level 3, and that Ice Blast will not be online really anytime soon.
I mean, they did put together a relatively greedy kind of a lineup, and someone has to be the selfless one. And that's going to have to be AA. He just has to hope that when the fights do break out, he's going to be in the neighborhood to benefit from that little bit of extra leached gold and XP, and then he can build up those levels and maybe get to a point where he can grab a hold of a Magnum Scepter. That would just be swell. But for Fox, he is indeed going to push forward into the mech build, and like I said during the draft, that mech isn't going to do so great when you have an Ice Blast on you, and they're going to press on forward, thinking that maybe they can make a move here on Chrissy on the bottom lane. The Timber Saw is going to lock in place. There's that Fire Blast, followed up with the bit of a Vortex, but he will not fall. But guess who comes in? It's going to be your Sand King. Still no Blink Dagger on him yet, but he needs a lot of extra harassment, but ultimately no one will go down. But actually they did get the Timber on the back end of that one, surprisingly.
Yeah, the second point in Ignite doing just enough damage to tick him down. Fox stole a lot of damage, see plus 70 there, and had him just about one hit from death, and Ogre was there. The power of McGee. Yeah, man. That'll be the first kill since the initial skirmish. So it's been a pretty quiet laning phase, but now all of a sudden IAP with a pretty decent gold lead of about 1,500. They'll push into this bottom tower quite hard. And it looks like she'll go down. The glyph has already come out. Maybe Timbersaw can hope for a deny. And they'll back up with it in deny range.
We'll guarantee it for sure. They'll be able to deny it, yeah.
So let's see. I think they'll shove into the tower. I don't think they're going to hand this
They're
going
to get quick, buddy. Uh-oh. They're coming. Yep, don't risk your life and the tower just going for a deny. So that's a smart call. He pulls back.
Yeah, Fox gets the last hit, but like I said, the mech, it's still okay against AA. You have to be a lot more cautious with it. Of course, you have to make sure you use it when Ice Blast isn't on, but there is still a pretty big window where the uptime on Ice Blast is nowhere near 100%. Still has a decent cooldown. So I think still an okay item, but definitely not the easiest to use. Chrissy down bottom. He'll get silenced, takes a lot of damage. Now they've got enough to burst down the Timbersaw. This time Razor gets credit for the kill, and Back-to-back deaths on the Timbersaw. That'll set him back quite a bit. Now just on Brown Boots, Bottle, Stout Shield with nothing in the bank.
So we knew that Death Prophet was pretty much having the time of her life in that mid lane. But she's having such a great time. She got a Midas.
Whoa.
That's a Midas on a Death Prophet. We don't see that a whole lot often, that's for sure.
Almost never. Yeah, she's one of these heroes that doesn't really benefit from attack speed all that much. And that's one of the reasons you'll see a lot of heroes pick up the Midas. It's a farm accelerator, but also ups your effective DPS. With DP,
that's just greed.
Yeah, it is pure unadulterated greed. Exactly right, my friend.
I mean, it's not like she's dealing extra damage with her right click that she keeps putting out there, so she's just like, well, this will hopefully, I'll get the space to continue on working up and then just get all of my late luxury items that much faster and those levels that much quicker. And, you know, we'll have to see if it does benefit her, but also Rave could punish her on that because she won't have anything now to get away from the big team fights, which now we're seeing Sand King big damage. He does go ahead and pull out the Sandstorm and will step away. But when the time comes and Centaur wants to play and the Sand King gets his Blink Dagger, she's not going to have those great Yules and race car items to get away from the big team fight.
Yeah, and the other great thing about this mech timing is Fox has it before the Ice Blast even comes out. AA halfway through level 5. He's got a 10-minute mech on this Razor, and now they'll just go for the mid lane of Tier 1 tower. DP uses the ultimate here, has a regeneration rune, so even gets the top off her mana pool, well, just about. And this tower goes down. They didn't even glyph it. Glyph it or ticket, as they say, and
I'll write them up.
Maybe they'll press into the Tier 2 just because it doesn't seem like Rave will come to the defense and still half duration on the DP ult. Why not chip at it while you have the opportunity? And now the glyph will come out straight away. But Rave really not in a great position to defend this one. Best they can do is try and split push a bit. Chemo will TP down bottom to push back Chrissy. Is this going to be a free Tier 2 tower here, Coddle Guy? They'll get it to at least half health.
This is crazy.
Now some heroes coming to the defense, though. Sand King on his way in, still no Blink Dagger, and whoa, in comes the Centaur. He'll have his Blink Dagger online, jumps onto Jay, finds the Hoof Stomp. Double Edge will bring down the DP. So they get punished for this big push, but now in the bottom lane, oh, Chemo almost goes down to the Saw of the Timber, and nope, he won't be able to find the kill. Just walks away. Emma Stone TP's in to keep his friend alive. So there's that early Blink Dagger from the Centaur coming in handy.
Yep, and Sand King gets his as well. So now, hopefully, they will look to try to make a big presence here as they approach the mid-game, bringing in the big eppies, the big stampedes, the big slam jams, if you will, the burrow strikes, the hoof stomps to be able to lock their opponents in place. You know, Skywrath Mage, as flimsy as he is, should be an easy, quick takedown. You know, Ogre, he's going to be a tougher cookie to crack, but if they can find the right opportunity to open up, this is just going to be more time for Lycan to find that farm. Jo does have his Vlads at this point, not looking to move on quite yet into the Rosh pit, maybe considering a go for maybe a Necro Book before he can secure something like that. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I think the split pushing build on Lycan is still kind of the best way to do it, but in this game, he's also their hard
lane.
carry.
They're going to go on Fox. It doesn't take a whole lot. There's those blinks going right to work. They jump in, get a hold of Razor, and they even have the Ice Blast as well now, so they just make quick work of him.
Yeah, but anyhow, this is a kind of game where Lycan, I don't think he can really afford just to go pure split push unless they plan on ending this one soon, because ultimately they need someone that can play the hard carry role and kind of tango with this DP and Razor as they continue to find farm.
Also been pretty quiet this game is this Elder Titan. He's been pretty, you know, selfish trying to make something happen. But Chicken Wit, now they're going to make a go on him. Centaur is now ready to boogie. He pulls out the Stampede, jump in, and this is the time to fight right now for Rave. They got the equipment they want to bring the pain, and this is them taking advantage of that. And they get another sweet assassination right there and pull on out.
It looks like, is Elder Titan going for a Midas? It looks like it. He's got the Gloves of Haste, 1,000 gold pulled up, so it'll be a double Midas for IAP.
This is greedy.
Greed boys indeed. Wow. Okay, we'll see how it ends up working out for them. They want to take this late, it would seem, as they group up, and they'll look to take out another Tier 1 tower. Ice Blast going to fly through. Epicenter from the Sand King to set it up right onto Fox, and there's your Ice Blast. Should force out a Shatter. Will cost Sand King his life, but in the end, Razor goes down. Now DP comes in, ultimate online, but Chrissy with the huge burst, Timber Chain, and the Whirling Death pressing forward. Not enough for the kill, but does repel Jay, who has an empty bottle. 13 hit points as he just barely lives to tell the tale on that one.
Yeah, they're just barely skating away. Obviously, the trade of the Sand King for the Razor does work out, and like I was talking about, they're creating a lot of pressure. They're getting attention on them because guess who's snuck into the Rosh pit and is making it work right now? It is Jo, but they're onto this. They know that he's been missing for quite a while, so they have this Astral Spirit to take advantage of that, and they can freely scout into that pit without any sort of consequence, and they do see him doing this, so now his plan is caught out, and he has to think twice before the right time to go on in there.
Yeah, so Razor, he's been pressured pretty hard in these fights, but Ogre, you need to be a little careful here, buddy. You're going to walk right into the danger zone. And this is part of the power of that offlane Timbersaw. We saw Chrissy have a pretty rough start, but he can do a lot of damage with basically no items, just arcane boots, and you saw how fast he bursted down that Death Prophet in the last skirmish in the top lane.
It also worked nicely for him as the Ogre getting that 2x multi in the top lane on Sand King, and that was ideal stun lock timing for Mystic Flare to really unload. I mean, remember, they did nerf Mystic Flare again and bumped it up another, up to what? It's 2.5?
2.4 now.
2.4.
So another 10%.
It used to be just 2. So they bumped it all the way up to 2.4, I believe. So
it's like a 20% DPS nerf.
Any
really
extra
hurts.
lockdown you can get will allow it to go to its full optimal damage.
Yeah, most definitely. Fox picks up his Ogre Club. Hard to say if that'll be right into BKB or if he's going to move into the Aghanim Scepter there. I think Aghanims is a advisable item this game. And they'll definitely need the pushing power to synergize with the DP, and it's all around good. On the Razor up top, we'll see Centaur get initiated on. He'll use his Stampede, but not enough to survive as he gets silenced and locked down. Jo channels the ultimate, but won't be able to find much out of it. Instead, we'll just force the retreat. The Doves will chase him across the map, moving quite slow. Will eventually do a little bit of damage. So ends up just being a freebie for IAP and a wasted ultimate on the side of the Centaur.
Yeah, he was getting a bit selfish there. He went in, used the double edge to farm up some creeps, and they caught him with very little life at the start. So it was just an easy setup right there to throw the Yules and then follow up with the silence. He still managed to get the Stampede off, but as you saw, it wasn't enough for him to get away. So a quick, nice stag. You know, bit of a careless play from your Centaur, but here we go. Ice Blast will end up flying in. A bit of early harassment coming out on your Death Prophet.
Thinking about it, dude. Look at this guy.
He's got Epi ready to go, but there's no backup quite yet. But here comes your first rotation. He's charging up now. Come on, baby. Jumps in. The Epi does land. Can they get a big follow-up because the return of the Centaur is here, but they can't quite burst down enough. And the Exorcism is a very scary thing to fight into, as you see. And Sand King will end up going down. They get the tower. And now Rio is now on the run.
Yeah, he'll just barely be able to blink to dodge that Crypt Swarm. Ends up being a 1-for-0 and a tower. IAP will be okay with that as they make the retreat. Fox almost gets interrupted. Boy, was that a close one as the Hoof Stomp comes in. A little surprised the Centaur didn't force staff forward to try and close the gap a bit sooner.
Man.
Echo Stomp on 2 down bottom outside of Rosh. Jo gets denied by Roshan as the Ogre does a lot of damage. Ice Blast flies through, won't do a hell of a lot, and they'll find the kill on Chrissy. So Lycan gets denied, but now they're just going to snipe the Rosh. And IAP getting huge burst of momentum all across the map.
That's unfortunate. It was apparent that Jo was trying to take advantage of all that attention on top lane to sneak in. He even had Timbersaw right there to help him out, but still Elder Titan was lurking nearby and just knew, constantly scouting out with the Astral, and a convenient Death Prophet haste allowed the rest of the team to come in very quickly, and now he's going to get that Rosh snagged away. This is devastating to Rave's game plan.
Yeah, Chemo on the high ground, just trying to keep them busy so they can't hop in and snatch the Aegis or go for a last hit on Rosh. It will go to the Radiant. Aegis of the Immortal picked up by the Death Prophet, and 10-5. Looking at this graph, it's swinging back up in IAP's favor. About 3,500 gold and almost 1,000 experience, and it is indeed a double Midas. Elder Titan was able to pick his up following that last fight, so we'll see what item build he moves into here. Probably just a utility force staff, and then after that, maybe something like a Shiva's. Could possibly even see an Aghanim Scepter. Not an upgrade you get to see all too often, but with a farming tool like this, very well could be a possibility.
I mean, you question him getting the Midas, and, you know, at that point you're expecting the opposing team to get the upper hand in these fights because they did decide to go for something like the Midas and not their usual standard cookie-cutter kind of a builds, so they should be easier to punish. But they're the ones getting punished, so they're getting away with going this greedy build, and they're going to only benefit that much more for it as time does go on. So now IAP are starting to look very, very nice because those Midases are already at the point where they're going to be quickly paying off, and now Rave, after losing their precious Roshan, have to get something going. They have to start taking some additional towers. They only have the one tier 1 down. Now they're looking to add pressure on mid.
Yeah, and I feel like so far this Lycan's been almost a non-factor. He's 1-1-1, but just can't really do too much damage. We'll see him get set up on here in the mid lane. Stun from the Ogre. Mystic Flare, enough to bring him down. Ogre comes in with a Hoof Stomp on 2. The follow-up from the Sand King. The mech will buy him some time, but the Epicenter channels finds the kill on the 2 tanky targets of IAP. Now Rave just trying to make the retreat without taking any more losses. They'll find a 1-for-2. They'll go in onto Jay. He gets stunned up. Timber Chain, what am I talking about? The Chakram, that'll chop him down. Uses the Aegis of the Immortal. Jay comes right back to life. and ends up being a very good exchange for Rave. Basically a 1 for 3, including that Aegis.
I mean, the one thing they do have, though, on their side is big team fight, and there it is. Big team fight, big burst coming out from your Timber Saw. And, of course, the epicenter doesn't, you know, hurt too much either. So they get in there, and they manage to get a couple of quick casualties. Those supports are pretty flimsy still, so they take down a couple, and they make it work to their benefit. And they get rid of that Aegis promptly so. And it looks like Death Prophet's got a point booster now. She's going a bit off
for the Bloodstone.
Yeah, a bit outside the box, but it does add a bit of extra health. Can't hate on that too much. So
yeah, it's an okay item on DP. Certainly does help her tank up a fair bit. And man, it does solve her mana issues, but I think armor is the big problem she's going to have this game. There's a lot of magic damage, so maybe even looking at something towards just either a casual cloak or going into a hood. Hood of Defiance is not the worst idea ever. A lot of pure damage on the side of the Timber.
Oh, yeah. They found Timber. They get a nice stun, and Mystic Flare makes quick work of him, and he can't even get anything off. That Ancient Seal, man. That's what makes Skywrath so good. Instant cast. Fantastic range to work with and great move speed. That's why we always see a Skywrath Mage picked up first or banned outright.
And another free pick off there is Jo down bottom, finding some farm. There will be a rotation towards Jay with that shiny new Bloodstone. This is the dangerous time with this item. You really don't want to get picked off as soon as you grab it and take those 8 charges down to 4. Not what you want to do. A very snowbally item, and looks like she'll be able to avoid death for now. Instead, they'll set their sights towards mid. They see Fox. The Blink Dagger brothers coming in. Boombox connects with the initial stun. Ice Blast will be off the mark, and with that, they'll decide not to commit for it. Mech going to be just a bit too much to try and turn things around, and they'll go in onto the Sand King. Then they set up a kill. Sentry Ward already comes down, but he's just a bit too elusive and will survive.
I don't mean to be too hard on the guy, but cast on this Ancient Apparition, Fort's been missing quite a few Ice Blasts. I've seen at least 3 now, and those are big. You need that to connect. You need that to connect, especially like on your Razor and just as much of these opponents as possible. It just makes it that much easier so they can't get that bit of rejuvenation. They can't have the opportunity to use that mech, and when you're missing it, and that's pretty much your bread and butter, I mean, now you're pretty much not contributing anything else to the fight, especially when you're trying to get the plays done from across, across the world.
Yeah. We'll see the resume, and still IAP in pretty good shape here. They've got a 5,000 gold, 4,000 experience lead, a 1 tower advantage, but the big problem is they've got the farming tools. We've talked about it quite a bit, 2 Midas to 0, and Lycan's still not really farming that well. He's kind of middle of the pack, number 3 overall in net worth, but nowhere close to this Death Prophet, and even the Rays are still out farming him, so how do Rave take this late is really my question here. They don't have the pushing advantage. They don't really have the farming advantage, nor I still don't think they have the carry advantage. DP can do very well against Lycan, and because of exactly if he goes for the BKB, DP can still chop him down with the ghosts.
Yeah, it's more of he'll get the BKB and he'll just try to get something done on the side. If he has to pull out rack tactics to get it done, then so be it, and just hope that the other 4 have the big burst, the big team fight to try to take it to DP, because she is weak to big burst damage. And, she's gone the Bloodstone route, but now she's going to move on to a BKB, so that will make that much harder. So, if she continues to farm up this quick, she will get to a point where there's just going to be no stopping her.
Yeah. Agreed. And just looking at her farm rate, I mean, she's still 50% up on the Lycan, so that alone just gives her such an edge and lets her be so tanky. 1,800 hit points on her, and just a couple of creep kills away from finding that level 16 and hitting kind of that next peak where the ultimate is super powerful, where you really don't want to go up against her in a team fight skirmish. So will they move into this tier 2 tower? They'll think about it, but no, Jay just TP's up top and will prevent any kind of Rat Dota action from this Lycan, who finds an illusion rune.
They're looking to come in from behind here. They have the Centaur, who is now going to be popped, and quick BKB going to be popped out from Fox. Very nice quick reaction there. Prevents the Burrow Strike from getting anything off, and now he has free will to go for a chase down. It forces out the defensive Stampede here from Rio, and he quickly makes the retreat. That Ice Blast will connect on your Skywrath Mage, and they are thinking about making a turn back to take him down, but still Fox persistent on scurrying him out from their own jungle.
Yeah, just trying to do as much damage as he could. Committing to the little lip up here means, well, I'm not going to be able to get the kill, but I'm going to hit you with a max damage plasma field, and boy, that BKB couldn't have come at a better time. It was delivered about 1 second before he was forced to use it, and mitigated a couple of stuns and making his life, well, stay alive.
Making his life live on.
Yeah, exactly. That's the right way to put it, I suppose. Now that Force Staff does come out on the Elder Titan, so A-Way getting some of that utility, and that Hand of Midas is finally starting to pay off.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, those Midases are going to continue to bring in the extra XP and farm form very, very nicely. And you can never count out the huge burst they have. Natty Order plus the Ancient Seal is absolutely ridiculous in any team fight. So just when you think that Sand King and Centaur are going to be the ones that have the big burst and big team fight presence, you can never count out how much damage that Mystic Flare is going to do on top of those abilities, you know, with Elder Titan being around. If you get a multicast on this Ogre, it's going to be ridiculous. And, of course, anything of this Exorcism, it's going to be out of control. But look who's lurking on the sidelines. It's going to be Boom. He's looking for the Epi drop.
Look at just scouted it out. Earth Splitter flies through. That'll scare him back and also clear out the tree line, using that Astral Spirit to so much avail right there. And this will make it an easy tower push. No way Sand King can really interrupt him. Lycan, however, does get a Tier 1 tower out of it in the mid lane, so at least it's a tower-for-tower exchange, but still an obvious advantage for IAP as they make the retreat and are not punished for securing that tower kill. It is a BKB now out on Jo after getting that tower. Does finally have enough gold for Magic Immunity.
The other unfortunate thing, though, for Rave is this Timbersaw has been a no factor. He's 0-4-2. You know, we were expecting or hoping that he would get to the point where he'd snowball and bring in that pain and all the attention would be on him, but it just hasn't been there. And he's still struggling to try to get his second item together here with only the point booster now on hand. He'd love to get a hold of a Bloodstone, but he is just way behind his quota right now and really struggling to find a place on his team.
Yep. And we talked about that window where he can do a lot of damage, and still within that realm where the pure damage does hurt quite a bit, but rapidly starting to fall off. And he's almost at that point where you can just sort of focus the Timbersaw if he hops in with that Timber Chain. And that's where his lack of items will really start to hurt him at this point. We will see the Ancient Apparition moving towards an Aghanim Scepter with the point booster up and 800 gold to go. Almost a Force Staff out on the Sand King. And, well, speaking of Force Staves, that'll be initiation from the Centaur right onto the Elder Titan. More than enough damage to bring him down as the Blink Brothers set it up. And even an Ice Blast from Cass connects. And, well, yet another pause here as IAP ask us to be patient.
No problem. I like the pick-off. I mean, it's not a whole lot often that we do see Execration not move as a group and just kind of get objective after objective. But when they do get that little bit of window to kind of make a jump like you do see there on your Elder Titan, it's not going to prevent them from taking it. So they jump in with their heavy blink initiation and get it done. But, you know, Timbersaw, he's not close enough to get any piece of that. He hasn't been, you know, really anywhere near most of these pick-offs. So he's still, you know, struggling behind the rest of his group, hoping that he kind of also get some food from that table.
Yeah, it gives us a time to glance at the graph, and it's just all good news for IAP. Gold up and up, as is the experience, about 7,500 gold, 5,000 experience, and still just nothing to really slow down the farm rate of these Hands of Midas. BKB is now coming out aplenty. We saw Razors, we talked about JOs, but now Death Prophet will have one up, and already about 800 gold saved up towards the next core item, and that's where Centaur is headed next, a BKB of his own. It's still quite scary when you're up against a Death Prophet and a Razor. Still plenty of physical damage that can come out despite being magic immune.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky for him. It's just finding the right opportunity to open up, having the focus and execution to go for your certain target. And ideally, they want to quickly take down Death Prophet to get rid of the Exorcism, obviously. But then you're letting Razor kind of have free roam to soak up as much damage as possible. So that's going to be their next objective. They do have some, you know, nice maneuverability with the blinks, and then, you know, Centaur has this Force Staff to prevent the Skywrath Mage from bringing down too much damage, hopefully on someone with his Mystic Flare. But overall, you still have other big dominators in the back lines. Your Ogre can kind of step up, and he gets off a, you know, good RNG factor, a nice multicast, benefiting from that Natty Order. It's going to be still a heavy amount of burst. It's still very scary here for Rave.
Definitely agreed. And well, hopefully we can deal with our more present issue here, and Fox will be able to reconnect. Lots of connection issues for IAP tonight. Very sad story.
SteelSeries apparently didn't provide a modem or any sort of connection line, and hopefully they can get on that.
I'm not sure SteelSeries is in the business of making modems, but hey, you know, maybe it's an untapped market here. Move into the Pinoy internet, but no, it's tricky when you're running cables under the ocean. You got all those crabs nibbling on the cables. You know, little puffer fish coming in there, clogging up the lines, taking all the bandwidth. What are you gonna do?
Damn crabs!
Damn crabs!
Shake the line; they'll get away from it.
Yeah, you know, Mr. Krabs in there. SpongeBob's all over the place. Yeah, this really is scary for Rave, though. I think they're in big trouble, and they need to find a way to get a lot of momentum, and they need to do it soon, because Lycan is still farming kind of slow. He's doing okay relative to everyone else, but look at the death profit. I mean, just a huge jump on the net worth, and it still just seems like they really have no tools to deal with it. You're talking about burst damage, and now that she has a BKB, that limits the burst damage from the Centaur and the Sand King quite a bit. So that means it's kind of on the back of the Lycan to do the bulk of the damage, and he still isn't really hitting that hard.
No.
But to be fair, he does have the medallion, and that is one area where DP is lacking. With the medallion on, that takes her to 0 armor.
Yeah.
So he can give her the rabies pretty easily if he can actually get up close and personal and get in those right clicks.
Best case scenario, they sneak in here. They take this tier 2, they come out top in a fight, and then they can move themselves into the Rosh and grab that Rosh. And that might be enough for them to really get back into this game. That's a tall order, and it looks like an order they don't want to take. They just promptly pull away, and it looks like they have other business to attend to.
Yeah, and that's the big issue. They can't even really feel comfortable pushing these towers or taking these team fights now, and it's really just going to get worse as this goes on with the lack of farming tools, and DP still has a long ways to go before she's capped out. Has a full inventory slot, and we'll be able to grab BOTs and probably look for either a Shiva's or a Heart coming up next. But given that she grabbed the Bloodstone, I think the Shiva's will really give her a nice, well-rounded build with a lot of extra armor. And then one of her teammates should look towards the pipe. Probably the Elder Titan is best suited for it. He'll go ahead and invest in a gem at this stage of the game. But so much magic damage, even with BKBs, I think a pipe is still a very valuable item.
No, of course. I mean, just kind of nullify that magic damage as much as possible. I don't see enough teams really utilize picking up a pipe. But
yeah.
Here we go. We got Razor scouting out. You know the timer's going to be close. He is just going to miss the window of when Rosh will pop up, and Rave are nowhere near the neighborhood of making this happen right now. They are going to ping out and see that Jo and the Ancient Apparition are walking hand in hand through, and it looks like the game plan is going to be for them to come down from the north and take down the tier 2 here on the top lane.
Yeah, to be fair to Rave, IAP are doing a really good job keeping their tier 2 towers safe. They're really not giving this Lycan any room to backdoor whatsoever. He was able to take out that tier 1 that they traded for a tier 2, but that's hardly doing rad Dota. That's just taking out those tier 1 towers that you really expect to go down. But at least Timbersaw finds a little bit of farm and now gets his Bloodstone up. Better late than never, as they say.
I couldn't agree more, but he's still got a long ways to go to even match up with anyone else on the opposing side. I mean, Chakram still has a big burst potential there and is available, and he has great wave clearing, which certainly does help when you're going against a big push onslaught. But it looks like the game plan here for IP is to make something happen right now as they begin to barge down this mid lane. They want to get a hold of a tier 2. They pop out the Exorcism, and it's time to go a knocking here on the structure. And yeah,
that'll be easy.
That's a swift terror takedown that didn't have much life, and IP, man, they're raking in the gold, and they're loving it like McDonald's.
Yeah. You know, I don't even know that they really needed the Exorcism for that one. There's no glyph. The tower was pretty low. They probably could have just really spit on it and it would have fallen down, but they'll still get some good use out of the DP ult. They'll move into the Rosh pit. It will expire before he goes down, but still gets a decent amount of damage in. Scouting around the pit. Looks like Rave are nowhere to be found, and they will end up letting Rosh go down unless they make a movement right now. Frost Fingers throws in the Ice Blast. This will scout it out. Connects on quite a few. And it looks like they will be in a position to make a movement before Rosh ends up falling. Jay uses his BKB. Ryo links in, but won't be able to find anything. BKB on, still getting clicked pretty damn hard. Plasma Field comes in. The Sand King gets off the ultimate, but right inside of a Yule's. Completely shut down, and IAP, they'll feel a lot more safe moving into Rosh.
That was a hot mess from Rave, not going to lie. They got a great Ice Blast set up, but then he went in there and stunned no one. Now Sand King goes in, he just gets obliterated. This is continuing to be just a disaster right now for Rave. They cannot contest this. This is just going to only get worse from here.
Lycan.
This is their best chance, and, well, look at the mobility. They just push him up the high ground, get away, and Lycan is just going to get kited around. They do manage to snag down a couple, though, but it's taking a lot of effort. Actually make it 3. Jayla is cleaning house very nicely here, as Death Prophet does not have the benefit of her Exorcism anymore, so it was enough to deter him away. It looked like a rough start from him, but, you know, Jo does come in as the final curtain of this fight gets ready to drop, and he's the one to clean it on up.
Yeah, he ends up finishing off Rosh, grabs the Aegis of the Immortal himself, and a 3 for 3, not too bad for Rave, especially given that the Sand King did almost nothing with his ultimate, and then when he hopped into the pit, stunned on 2 and then died before his team could really follow up. But the split worked out well, and Lycan putting that BKB to good use. Now 4,500 gold on the Lycan. Getting some of that rubber band effect now, about 3,000 gold only in favor of IAP, and Experience Graph is leveled out. So all of a sudden, Rave kind of back in this game. They'll need a little more than that to really regain control, but we'll see what item Jo invests in next. He may be interested in an Abyssal given the amount of BKBs on the side of IAP.
I almost want to say it was like the Pylite Die factor for Sand King and Centaur. They kind of went in and didn't really get what they wanted done, but it was enough for IAP to kind of expend everything on taking care of the two of them. And once everything was done, the Exorcism, the Yules, and everything in their whole kit and caboodle, Lycan just kind of moved on in and just started right-clicking everyone down. And he definitely got the job done. So
Sand King, you crazy bastard, will you survive this one? It looks like he might. He'll be able to force staff back. Away, trying to get in position to slow him down. Does have an Echo Stomp, and if he can get this off, Sand King may be punished for his greed, but wow, he goes in, gets this ward down, jumps into 4. He's the great Houdini here, this little Scorpion.
That was a risky play, but it certainly does pay off for him, and we'll see if they even know it's there and try to go for the Swift Deny. If they happen to check his inventory to see a ward, if you get that ward out of here, yeah, all that for nothing, sir. You may have escaped with your life, but we got your ward, goddammit.
There's a gem on the Elder Titan. You basically just can't put wards on the low ground like that. It just doesn't work. They're going to get taken out, so at least he doesn't die. If he had died, then that would have been truly for nothing, but it ends up just being a little bit of wasted effort. Jo will go ahead and grab the Assault Karas. Just grabs it straight up here and going for the minus armor. A great item against DP. Gives the team a little bit of extra armor, and that with the Vlads will help minimize the damage from her ultimate and, of course, make him do a bit of extra damage. But Jay will quell his armor issues and now completes a Shiva's Guard.
I gotta say, Jay was looking pretty good now. He's got his AC ready to go, and this is going to be a hard Lycan to contest if they can't quickly take care of him. And they got to be cautious not to kind of throw everything out there on everyone else and not have much left in the barrel for this Lycan. So we'll see if they can get a hold of him and burst him down. With that BKB, though, it's going to be that much harder, and he's already doing some nice damage there on the tower. He does get slept up, but that's only going to be a preemptive nap before he's able to get away.
The wraparound, Jay coming in, deploys the ultimate, Shivas, and Centaur. He'll just sound the retreat, uses the Stampede, heads for the hills. Jo pops his BKB, starts biting in onto the Ogre. They've lost their Sand King already, and the Wolf will just head for the hills. Now can cast, make the TP out. They'll find him. No interrupt. The Ogre can't get in position to stun him up. And after all that, it is just a single kill onto the Sand King. But they do defend their Tier 2 tower down bottom, and IAP will be okay with that, though they don't capitalize as much as they certainly would have liked.
Yeah, that wasn't really the fight it looked like they wanted to take. I mean, Jo did have the Aegis, so he could have maybe considered going for the fight, but he did pop the shapeshifts and the BKB, and not having that on your second life is very, very bad for us. You're usually going to want to save that and reserve that, so after the Aegis is expended, you can come back and make use of those things. But he might not even get to use the Aegis at this point. It's only got about a minute life left, so he'll just kind of go back to his usual farm rotation and hope to move on and make a bigger impact in the next fight.
Yep. Ooh, smoke up near the Dire base from Rave. Looks like they'll try to stay aggressive here. Meanwhile, IAP all grouped up as 4 in the top lane and may have their Razor joining them. Speaking of Razor, how's he doing in terms of item progression? Went for the BKB, and now he'll just move into that Aghanims. Does have the point booster, and now only 800 gold away from finishing up the completed Scepter. And Chrissy, he's moving into a B. It's going to be, this could be like a 10 BKB kind of a game here, Dakota, if this goes on long enough. Everybody's pulling towards it. Seeing another fight break out. They go right in onto the Ogre. Stampede forward, but Ogre will force staff down to the low ground. He'll live. Now Emma Stone getting crit by the Lycan, gets chopped down. The rabies will be injected. And that'll be a 1-for-0 out of the gate. Now Jay on the run. BKB will try to TP home. No way to interrupt it. And that'll be the end of it. Just a dead support on the side of the Radiant.
Not too shabby to get a quick pick off like that. Their cooldowns aren't too long either, and they force DP to pull out another BKB charge defensively to get out from that one, putting her down to 7 seconds. And now it's looking like IAP are a little more on the defensive at this point, and you know, they still have a Tier 2 on the top lane to work through. You're kind of hoping by this point that they would be able to be pushing themselves into the base. But the longer this goes, the game gets more and more in question. But now they catch up this Timber side, the Yulm up in the air. They're trying to time out the silence, but he does get the Timber chain to the high ground, but they go right up after him. How you doing, buddy? 4 staff once more, and a 4 staff to the ground for them to make it 3 times all day. Now Ogre caught in the corner. The Mud Golem's getting in on this one, but they do manage to take him down. Lots of mobility coming out from both sides, but it's the Ogre who does fall.
Yeah, Sand King trying to help out, but ends up TPing into the tree line, gets himself stuck there, and won't be able to assist all so much. IAP another with another unfortunate death, and look at that gold graph. It's teetering down in favor of Rave. Still about 2,500 gold, but 35 minutes in. That's really not so significant. And we're in kind of a stalemate as IAP only able to keep their heads above water. Compliments for those double Hands of Midas, as it looks like Away going for a Scythe of Vice has the Mystic Staff. We've already got a Shiva's out, so we'll be going for a Hex. And we'll see where DP wants to go next, as she's at about 2,800 gold herself.
Lycan's the true right-clicker of this game, and it's getting to that point where it really shows, and it's going to work out to his benefit. I mean, given he doesn't have the benefit of being able to rebuy a BKB, and it's going to fall rather quickly. He'll be at 5 seconds before you know it, but all that utility in the aura he's already putting out for himself and for his team is looking to pay off, and now you see your Timbersaw finish out his BKB, so he should be able to have free roam to really put out all that additional damage.
But the Aghanims on all Frost Fingers here. Now these snowballs, they hurt that much more, and they last that much longer with the debuff. So always a big item pickup here, and does create a lot more opportunity for those shatters, and just the effectiveness of the Ancient Apparition in general. You can see down bottom, the full health Elder Titan will get chipped down, and just the AA able to do about a third of his hit points.
It's going to go down to half by the time it's done, and that's just on your Elder Titan. So if he catches a big one.
That tanky mother, too.
And I don't think he has it at level 3 either yet. Nope, he's only level 12, so it'll be quite a bit before he does get that ultimate at its max potential, but you can just see already the damage it does, and that's going to be no additional healing. Your Bloodstone Death Prophet and all these extra bit of sustain and healings is not going to do a whole lot. Your Urn and whatever, so they're going to go to bottom. This is where we might see a clash. It looks like Rave would love to get this objective complete right here. If they can quickly grab this one and have a big team fight, they might consider moving on back and having a follow-up on the Rosh pit.
Yep, Rave starting to press forward. Ice Blast to kind of split it in half. Jay will get clipped, but gets off the BKB. Now Rave in the defensive. Yule's out on the Timbersaw. He'll get silenced, but in comes the Blink team. And the Centaur on the front line is doing the damage that he can. Earth Splitter will fly through, but doesn't really do a hell of a lot. BKB's used it plenty. They'll lose their Death Prophet, who will buy back straight away. Now Jo isolated, silenced, Mystic Flare enough to bring him down. In comes the Sand King with his ultimate. He will pay with his life, but gets a lot of damage out. In the end, it's Rave that get cleaned up. They lose their Lycan off to the side. And IAP, well, now they lose their Ogre. Ryu going to try to make the great escape, but Yules is there to interrupt it. No Blink, no Force Staff or Stampede. And Big Brad, he may be tanky, but not unkillable. And they'll have more than enough to bring him down as he takes a Crypt Swim to the face. After all of it, it's a 2 for 4. Does cost IAP a buyback on the Death Prophet, but they come out, well, decently ahead in that fight.
They didn't even use Exorcism. Like, she popped her BKB a bit early. She saw the Ice Blast coming, but Ice Blast goes through BKB. You're not going to take the damage, but it's persistent, and it's going to stick on through, and she'll still not be able to heal. So they are able to take her down because they followed up with a simple hoof stomp, and then she really doesn't have anything else to offer. So she just falls, but is smart, does the immediate buyback, comes right back into the fight. I figured that maybe she's going to pull out the Exorcism to look to clean up, but the rest of her team already had gotten that done, so now she could just use that Exorcism on the Rosh. They take it down. They do eat an Ice Blast right now, but regardless, big stuff for Execration.
Yeah, and follow that. Away will now have enough to finish up his Scythe of Vice, and Fox, he'll be the one to grab the Cheese, who has a completed Aghanim Scepter right before that fight. Jay, of course, being the one to grab the Aegis of the Immortal. So things looking a little bit better for IAP, even though Rave have stuck it out and have zeroed out this game. Still a pretty level playing field. And getting to that point where really either side, if they take a terrible team fight in a bad portion of the map, their base will be under heavy assault. Both Lycan and DP can really do some work on structures at this point.
Yep, so they're feeling a lot better now. It was a bit questionable as far as Rave looking to take this game back. And for Rave, they just saw that they can't as easily just move as a group and maybe go for some of these structures because the team fight will not always go in their favor. So I'm really curious to see what the game plan is going to be for them as they continue to add pressure along the top lane right now. And moving on in, and where did this medallion, did he self-medallion? That was weird. Still has medallion. Well, here they go. They see Jail. Oh, this is going to be a big pick-off. Oh, man. He has to pull out the BKB to get away from this one, and the Wolf form to just use that race car status to get away. He even sees allies looking to come on in and help, but now they are forced to be on the retreat right here. Fox gets a nice, very girthy static link right there on the Big Brad Beefcake, and now they turn that attention towards Chrissy. Huge right-click damage coming out from your Razor now as he sweeps on through. Plus 244. My goodness, this guy hits like Rocky Balboa.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a one-for-one trade. The Skywrath Mage there for the Timbersaw, so a slightly better trade for IAP, and now they'll start to chip at this tower, but they don't have any creeps, so backdoor protection will quell their efforts. In comes the Astral Spirit to scout things out a bit, see what everyone's up to, and we'll see what IAP want to commit to this. Timbersaw does have a Bloodstone, so he'll be coming up way before that Skywrath Mage. And we'll get into this fight, making it a 4v5 on the field. They have no Exorcism for another 5 seconds, but that won't stop them from moving into the tower. Off to the side, Centaur blinks to safety, as it looked like Away was about to jump on him, but now we're going on to the Centaur. In comes the Sand King, takes a multicast to the face, and will be forced to retreat. BKB's used aplenty. That'll be the end of the Aegis, but DP used the ultimate right before she went down. That's a huge misplay from Jay. Now he'll get stunned up more than once, and looks like he'll go down once more. Does commit suicide, but the end result is the same. While we were watching that, Razor died off to the side, and Chemo does try to TP out for Staff. Not going to be enough, and gets stunned. Finished off right as that TP is about to commence. So Rave not only make the defense, but take a great team fight, a huge net worth change, clean up the Aegis. Razor still has the cheese, but
yeah, Razor looked like he didn't get the BKB off or use the cheese.
Yeah, no, he still has his BKB available, so he got locked down. But look at that net worth all of a sudden. Lycan was way behind that of the DP, but all of a sudden it's only about a 3,000 margin or so, and well, Lycan is really coming online and looking quite scary. Another 4,500 gold up on him, and ooh, is he going to invest in something here? Nope, just sells his medallion, and there you go. Grabs the Reaver, so either a Heart or a Satanic coming out for him, but either way, Lycan is getting quite strong.
Still have Epicenter to work with, so Sand King has put himself on the high ground, and Death Prophet does benefit from having that Bloodstone to being able to come back in the fight sooner than later with that low death timer, and they're going to consider contesting this Tier 2 tower as Rave actually looking to play it safe. They don't want to push too hard, and they see that everyone on Execration is back up and alive, and they'll just pull on back.
Yeah, certainly so. Tower just barely out of deny range, and yeah, not going to press their luck. Rave playing this very safe, but I think it's the right call, respecting that IAP still have a lot of power and quite a bit of farm to their names. But using that ultimate right before the Aegis, that was the big misplay from Jay. Even if he had used the ultimate after the Aegis, I think it wouldn't have made a difference, but just a completely wasted cooldown. Yeah. Those snowballs, man, they hurt.
Certainly do. They make you second guess as far as what's the right time to commit. You never know if that's just like the initial setup to a fight that could be coming your way, so you're constantly like running around and curious as far as what could be coming your way next. But for now, they just kind of take it on in. And bottom lane, you're seeing a bit of side pressure coming out from your Sand King, looking to try to slowly wither down this Tier 2. Not if anything, Death Prophet has anything to say about it, and he quickly blinks away before she has the opportunity to make anything happen, which I don't think she would have, but you never really know. With her Yules on hand, she can quickly move on in, which she has Shivas now, so she's getting a bit more durable as time goes on, has that extra bit of armor she was lacking, and 5k gold. So we'll see if he decides to invest that in a Heart.
Yeah, well, know what the dire side want. It's a double Heart, one for the Centaur and one for the Lycan. So they're just going beef mode here. They're going to try and get as much HP as they can to go tango with this Death Prophet, and I think it's an okay choice. Also against the burst of Skywrath Mage and the Ogre, just having raw HP, a pretty good way to deal with it. Both teams could really benefit from a pipe this game. Considerable amount of magic damage across the board, but neither side even invested in a casual cloak, let alone a Hood of Defiance or a full-blown pipe.
They're straight shooters, apparently. They're not about that pipe life.
Yeah. Tobacco's not so good for the lungs, but boy, is it good against an Ogre.
Certainly is, and a Skywrath Mage. So.
Yeah.
Not about that life, apparently, and they continue to add pressure on the sides, and I like this. You know, Rave are not going to let these creeps try to push past the river anymore as this game continues on. They're going to allow Jo to build up the extra farm, and they're going to wait for the opportunity to move on to that Rosh pit. And you already see your Snowball scouting out the area, actually tend to bomb to, you know, even, this is the nice thing about Ice Blast, is even if you don't want to throw it on enemies, you can throw it on creeps from the other side of the map and still add extra pushing power from the other side. It's great.
Yep, definitely. Now we see that fun item pickup on the Timbersaw, the Aghanim Scepter. So the double Chakram really ups his damage output. We'll hold that thought as Jay gets jumped on in the mid lane. Sand King gets turned into a piggy, but Force Staff will keep him safe from the Mystic Flare. DP uses the BKB a little prematurely. It's down to 5 seconds, and now he'll be stuck without magic immunity for the better part of a minute.
It's down. They should maybe consider going for a fight here on the side of Rave, saying something like that. But it looks like they're going to maybe go around through the enemy woods and go for some sort of flank play, as it looks like, nope, they're just going to instead go to Objective Gaming, get this Tier 2. But with DP's BKB down, it'd be a nice opportunity for them to really open up on them.
Yeah, they'll have only about 20 seconds left for this window of opportunity. And Jay, he is pretty far forward. Needs to be somewhat careful here. No glyph available for the Radiant, so they'll probably lose this tier 2 tower. And this is that window. BKB down for 10 seconds still. Gets stunned up. They lose the tower. Now coming in, still has the Exorcism. Boombox again, Force Staff to safety. Looking for a TP, but the doves should be enough to finish him off. And yep, that's going to be a kill onto the Sand King. So they trade one of their supports for the tier 2 tower down bottom. Not a bad trade for Rave, but yeah, nothing really game-ending coming out of that one.
Rave is doing a nice job with those Force Staffs, man. It's making Skywrath's ultimate pretty much useless. They get the right timing right there, so the Mystic Flares are not going to be doing a whole lot and locking them down. And we had been talking about the lack of real lockdown on the side already from Execration, and the simple Force Staff is going to prevent them from beating all that extra burst. So for now, taking advantage of the Sand King being down, it looks like IAP are going to just kind of shuffle down this mid lane and would love to finally start doing some damage on the high ground if possible.
Yeah, Sand King actually doesn't have a buyback here, so it will be a good 15 seconds of a 4v4 coming up, and I say that because Skywrath Mage is quite the laggard, still trying to cross the river. So we'll end up being a 5v5 around the same time. The big ultimate's used to go right onto the tower. Dire have a glyph, but they're saving it for now. Fox in the front lines using that Eye of the Storm. And there's your glyph is Jay. Still not too afraid. Will at least finish off the tier 3 tower. Sand King has come back to life. Now the BKB's used. They'll go for the barracks. J.O. BKB on. He'll charge straight in. Also, the Exorcism really not doing that much damage to him yet. Stampede used. They'll jump in right onto Emma Stone. It'll be a dead Skywrath at the beginning of this fight. The rest of IAP in full retreat. Ogre gets hit by the Ice Blast, but moves into the tree line. Will TP home. Away. Left behind, Force Staff up to the high ground, and he'll be able to survive also, it would seem, as Chrissy in hot pursuit, but will give up on the chase. And again, another one of these kind of stalemate type exchanges where they lose a hero but get a tier 3 tower. Not really crippling damage on either side. Yeah,
good high mobility coming out from IAP to get away from that, and you know, you got the benefit of like Ogre who throws out the Ignite, prevents Sand King from getting a blink off to really pursue any sort of chase, and they promptly get out from that one, even though Centaur pulled out the Stampede to try to get up. But the BKB timing coming out from both sides made it hard to really have a clash, and Death Prophet and Razor both kind of just work together so nicely to do some early siege, so they get the tower regardless, and that's pretty much what they'd come in for. If they only lose a Skywrath Mage, so be it. So they come out on top. Rosh is up now, however, so this is going to be another very questionable opportunity for IAP to maybe make something happen, but they do not have the Exorcism for this one, so we'll see how it ends up working for them.
Yeah, another 50 seconds till it's up. Also, the Earth Splitter on cooldown for another 25. This will be hard to contest. Rosh falling very quickly, and down he goes. Aegis this time goes to the Centaur, and away he gets initiated on, but will be able to survive. Cheese did not go to the Lycan Art. Ends up going to the Timbersaw, the most mana-intensive hero, so it does make some sense. As Stampede is used, they want to take a fight, but Boombox, he gets hexed. He takes a lot of damage in return. Sand King will be the first to fall as BKBs are used. Chrissy in the front lines will be repelled back. Now Centaur stuck inside of the Yule Scepter. Multicast coming down, and whoa, a lot of damage on him. That'll be the end of the Aegis, but now J.O. Wolf form online, gets a couple of crits on the Razor, enough to bring him down. Now Emma Stone, Chemo, both will fall. A double kill comes out for the Centaur, and now they're in hot pursuit. DP and Elder Titan, the only two left alive to hold the base. It's a 4v2 on the field, and Rave, they should go for the high ground here, but well, maybe they won't. Instead, they want the easy damage on the tier 2 mid.
A worthy sacrifice from Sand King, man. He moves on in front and tries to get a hold, and then he becomes quickly the focus point from IAP, and that allows J.O. to just kind of wait in the wings and wait for the opportunity to go in and strike. He does so, and he gets a big prize there, taking down the Razor. And with Centaur being just so manly as it is with that heart, he's able to be in the game plan and in the fray for long periods of time, dishing out big damage, and they get a couple of sweet pickdowns. Now we do have a buyback here on Razor and Ogre, and you see Ogre pulls out his. They get another sweet takedown. Elder Titan's forced to pull out his buyback as well here, and look at this, Raver doing a bit of damage here on the high ground, but they don't have that sweet benefit of like a Razor or a Death Prophet, so they can't do a whole lot. It forces J.O. now to pull out his BKB and the Wolf form to get away from this one.
Yeah, Stampede's been used, but Centaur not able to do much with it. Gonna have that Force Staff on cooldown for quite a bit longer, and he'll end up falling, but Jay's used his Exorcism for this and only finds a kill on the Centaur. Sure, they end a dominating streak, but doesn't seem like the best use.
She's hustling to go down that mid lane and try to take advantage of this Exorcism. Now, Centaur does have a buyback.
Oh, he wants this Courier.
But he's going as fast as possible. Give me that bird! Got it! Yes! Damn, Courier.
Power of the Bloodlust, man. He's cruising. Race car. Basically a haste rune, so Still, that's another DP ult on cooldown, and maybe Jayo want to look towards a refresher just to have that double ultimate and be able to take it in a team fight, then move right into the base and do some crippling damage on the back of it. Centaur does have a buyback available and may need to use it here as Jay goes straight into the front lines. BKB is on. Lycan takes a multicast to the face, but in comes Chrissy. He'll use his BKB, double chakram, and Timber chaining forward, but will be forced to back out. Haste Rune still on. Yules will be able to cleanse it, but they haven't Yulesed him yet, as Jayo, now the one taking a lot of damage. He'll probably be forced back to the well. Without a tier 3 tower, they need to be careful as Boombox hops right in. A bit too brave, gets turned into a piggy and blasted down. Now the team fight will break out as Rave go forward. Chemo taking some damage, but Jayo, he's on the run also. They'll lose their Ogre as well as their Skywrath. Centaur going in onto the Razor. Buyback used by the Sand King. They want to clean this up, and it looks like Rave have had enough. And they may try to counter push big off this one as they're continuing the pursuit down the middle of the map. Who can they grab here? Away sets it up with the Echo Stomp, but the Blinks forward. And the Timber Chain, this guy, man, he is one mobile Timber Saw. Still plenty of mana, but they just can't catch up to him here, Dakota.
It's taking so long to get there that by the time they get to the base, the cooldowns are going to be down and they're going to be ready to fight once more. And, you know, unfortunately for Jayo, he was dancing around on the high ground a bit and he ate a lot of damage. So by the time he did go into his shapeshift and pull out the BKB, he had like a quarter life to work with. So he got in there, got a couple of right clicks, but then he was quickly forced to pull out because it's not like he had an Aegis. He probably didn't even have a buyback either to really fall back on. So he had to play it very, very risky because he was eating a lot of early harassment at the start of that fight.
And now they'll go into the tier 3 tower. They'll be able to finish it off. But again, Rave playing this so safe. They don't want to take a fight in the high ground, but they should. DP's ultimate down. It's about to come back up. She's got the BKB. Can they burst her down? Burst. And the ultimate from the Ancient Apparition does get onto her, but will it be enough to actually tick her down into a shatter? It's going to be a close call. She tries to make it back to the well. Cask gets double fire blasted, does find the kill on the Death Prophet, and will just barely live. The negative urn will be enough damage as Frostfingers will melt to the fire of the urn charge. A 1-for-1, but a decent trade for Rave. Off to the side, Timbersaw clearing up the creep wave, doing what he can. Meanwhile, back in the fight, they hop in right on to the Ogre. Lots of damage flies through, but Mystic Flare will be completely off the mark. The 2x on the Sand King once more. It's a dieback for him. Now he'll have his buyback on cooldown. And this is a crazy back and forth, but IAP, they'll come out ahead, and buyback's limited on this dire side.
Well, Death Prophet buys back, buys a boot to travel, and gets right back into the fight and ready to make something happen because their Exorcism is up and ready to go. And they are happy to move down this mid lane and make a big siege attempt to try to take down both sets of racks. So this is going to be a testing all the defenses here from Rave, but they want to stop him early. Moving on with the BKB pop right now is Chrissy trying to do huge chakram damage right now. They take down the Ogre, and now Jayo moves in and was love to clean up here. He's opening up on Away. Can he take him down? Force Staff gets him away briefly, but now his damage being sapped away from your Razor, and there's your Exorcism. It's going to be forced to be pulled out a little bit early for this fight, and they only end up going 2 for 2 all day. Still waiting for Sand King to come back as he does not have a buyback. Now trying to use the back end of this Exorcism to take it to the racks. They pull out the Glyph. It might be just enough time while the racks just fall, but either Eye of the Storm also will conclude here. Now Fox is going to eat big damage from right click and will jump back, but they do end up taking down one set of racks here. Ice Blast to go on the way back, does catch him, but they're only going to able to take down the one racks on the back end of that. So it was a good call from Rave to shut him out on the way in. That way they couldn't really unload with the full duration of Exorcism and Eye of the Storm in the actual base.
Yeah, this is turning into a very interesting game where both teams, it seems like, oh, they won the team fight. They've got the momentum by the time they get to the base. Teams have respawned, people have bought back, and they just can't do crippling damage. Both sides just chipping at one another. A lot of buybacks been used, though. Basically, just the Lycan and the Razor. They're the only two that have buybacks available, and everyone else's is actually on cooldown except that of the Skywrath, who's just too damn broke to afford it. So these next team fights are the make it or break it, really.
Which I wouldn't be surprised if we see both teams now wait it out a bit for the next Rosh. There'll probably be a big clash there, some sort of contention. One team going for a pickoff before moving into the Rosh pit, and then going from there, as it's been very strategic this game. Not as one-sided as it may seem, as both teams have the opportunity to really make a big comeback kind of a play, and it doesn't end up, like you said, being as easy as we suspect. So still continuing to add pressure, though. They want to keep the creeps on the other opponent's side, and the pressure keeps building up. They're doing it right now for Rave on the bottom, but meanwhile you see Execration doing it on the top. They're looking on in. There's still been a tier 2 up here, so they're like, dagnabbit, we got to finally take this one down. So a little bit of extra change in the pocket for them if they do take it, which they do, and then they pull on back.
Yeah, so just glancing at the grabs, it is Rave that have kind of come out ahead. They're pretty meaningless at this stage of the game. 5,000 gold, 10,000 experience. More about positioning and initiation than anything else, but still interesting to see how they've regained so much momentum after that slow start. And these farming tools just haven't been enough to secure the win for IAP. Item pickup onto Away. He's moved into a Crimson Guard here at the 55-minute mark, and an interesting item choice will help mitigate some decent damage, but at this point the Lycan hits so damn hard that I feel like that minus 50 per auto attack is kind of just a drop in the bucket, all things considered. And
yeah, it's something.
Still on that pipe train, though.
The Wolves will be pretty much not doing a whole lot now, I guess, which is nice, but at this point they build up enough, strength and beef that the Wolves weren't going to be a problem to begin with, but every little bit does matter. The extra utility, extra aura would definitely be nice to have regardless. But we're going to see teams wait out now for these buybacks to all get back up and available. We're going to wait for the Rosh to get back up and available here. And, well, I mean, I say that, but look at IAP. They pull out a smoke, and they're looking to go for a flank play. At least Rave might be anticipating that IAP want to take it slow, but they don't. They quickly get the Bloodlust out, and they're going to look to come in from the south.
Yeah, they certainly will. Smoked up. The jig is up as they walk into it. And Rave, will they be able to take this fight here? Jo gets hexed right away. Silence takes a lot of damage out of the gate. Does manage to survive. BKB's used a plenty. They'll go in onto the Elder Titan. They're able to bring him down as two fights are kind of erupting here. Lycan does get picked off on the backside. They'll also find the kill on the Ancient Apparition. Seems like IAP are getting the better of this fight out of the gate. A buyback from the Lycan straight away. And now Sand King goes in on to Fox. The follow-up from Chrissy. A lot of damage onto the Razor, but it's not enough to bring him down. It'll end up being a kill on the Sand King. And they'll find Chrissy off to the backside. He gets silenced. Multicast from the Ogre. It's a double kill for
Jo
Chemo.
Wants to clean up, but this is going to be hard. He's going to get kited about now. It's just too late. It's not like he had boots of travel to get in the fight immediately, so he had to take the long run from the fountain. But nice jump in, hoof stomp. 2 Ghost Scepters, and, well, they're going to take down each of the supports, but they would have loved to have gotten a hold of instead Death Prophet and Razor. So they'll take what they can get for now, but that does expend JO's buyback. And looks like Death Prophet trying to add pressure still on the mid lane. And unfortunately, because they got a hold of a Lycan, and they just like, all sights were on Lycan. They're like, if we get him down, this will be big. They do. He buys back, but it's just such a long run to come from the fountain that by that point, his team has already fallen apart.
Yeah. Definitely. So, 57 minutes in, still these kind of break-even team fights where neither side really able to get too much momentum off of it. Sure, they whittle down another buyback, but it's still not really crippling damage. We'll see some more big items come out as Lycan will finish his Abyssal Blade following that buyback, and Centaur now has a Hex. That's one you don't see too often. A Centaur with enough luxury gold to pick up a full Scythe, but he'll have it here. They'll move into the Rosh pit, and Jay scouts it out, uses his Shivas, but it's a 5v3 on the field, and simply put, they just can't contest it.
Yeah, I would not risk contesting it, because if you go down, I mean, Death Prophet still has a whole minute before she can even buy back, and it'd be a little too risky. So, cheese is still there. There you go, AA. Grab some cheese, buddy. There you go. Nice little Swiss. And now they're going towards the bottom lane, actually. Fox is lingering behind this tree. What are you doing there, buddy? Pulls out the BKB, looking to get away from this one. And if they catch up, it's only going to be about, 5 seconds? And it's back up and available. Ice Blast. Oh! Force Staff will get him away from that ultimate. And now it looks like Rave want to add pressure on the bottom.
Yep. Will they actually be able to do it, though, is a whole nother question. As Sand King rotates mid, and no, they won't even go for the high ground again, just playing this very safe. Get a ward down on the plateau as they look to make the retreat, but here's a nice late game item on the Razor that really brings him online. The Refresher Orb, that double Eye of the Storm, so much damage in these team fights, and of course, will truck those structures if IAP can ever get close enough. They'll do a little bit of split push with Jay in the top lane, but it will just BOT back to safety as the Dire team goes missing off the map and do start to rotate towards her location.
Yep, and now it's Rave who want to probably wait as long as possible for JO's buyback to at least come back up and available. He's got 4 more minutes, though, before it's going to be at that point. I don't think IAP obviously want to wait that one too much longer. Death Prophet has her buyback ready to go, and same with Razor, so they'll just kind of formulate, and maybe if anything they'll wait out the Aegis, but I don't think so. I think they would love to take a fight and try to go for one last hurrah towards the base, and they can finish out what they started in that mid lane if they want. Death Prophet's got her ultimate ready to go, and we'll see if they try to get it done here, but she actually gets cut off, and jumping from Rio, they might lock down and take down this Death Prophet before health gets here. Jo comes in. Uh-oh. Death Prophet out past her leash in the mid lane. Now, she does have buyback, and obviously she did not use her exorcism, but that was pretty much a free giveaway right there.
Yeah, totally a freebie. They don't burn too much for it. Lycan uses his ultimate and his Abyssal, also the BKB, so they don't really want to fight for another 40 seconds or so. Also, the Scythe's still on cooldown for another 10. Even if they can just force the buyback on DP, that'll be good news for Rave, and I think that's really all they need to do out of this, especially if they could force a glyph and a buyback. That's just money in the bank. Now BKB on the Sand King. That'll make his Epi channeling a little bit easier. But still hard to find the right angle to initiate. With the Bloodstone on DP, might not even have to buy back. Only 20 seconds till she's alive. And I think IAP can stall until then as they blink forward. Looking for initiation. Don't find it quite yet. Chrissy will get initiated on, slowed up, and
that Bloodstone, man, that's making the time on this Death Prophet come back that much quicker. And they can't even force out the buyback because of it. So Rave are unfortunately just going to have to give it up, and they'll just pull back.
Once more, it's a stalemate. We've now passed the hour mark. 60 minutes has passed, and both teams still not really that closer to a win. We have one barracks down, just arranged in the mid lane, and the same lane they've lost their tier 3 tower. Next, Rosh still a ways away. A couple of minutes left on the Aegis of the Immortal, so Lycan, pardon me, 2 minutes left. All right, so Timbersaw.
It is a couple of minutes. Nice call.
Exactly a couple. There you go. BOT is coming out of plenty also. Timbersaw has his delivered, and just actually him in the DP, but we'll see more of them coming out.
Take it easy, Timber. Jesus Christ. He picks up boots of travel, and he's all about the running. All right,
yeah,
well.
Finds a Hasterin on top of it, so he's just cruising. I've never heard him say that line before. Run, 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 run.
I also heard that Timbersaw and Skywrath Mage is the same voice actor. Fun fact. Uh-oh. Someone's courier went down with a big, big tote on it.
That's a refresher orb.
Ew, that was probably going towards, yes, it was the Death Prophet. Death Prophet, no refresher for you, milady. And that's going to be rough. That's as disappointing as a Hot Pocket for dinner.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty big pick off here. Now we see the initiation, the double chakram flying through Sand King, right onto Chemo. But they just don't have the damage to bring down that fatty ochre. Those jelly rolls in the front line, let him absorb that damage. But now they're going on to Fox. Lots of damage out onto him before he can get off the BKB. He'll get hexed up. They'll bring him down. Razor to fall. And does he have a buyback? He sure does. He'll use it. Now Jay uses the exorcism, goes in, will defend the barracks.
Oh, this is great. They're going to run. They're going to run.
Yeah.
Waste your exorcism. Waste your buyback. We'll be back for another day, I assure you. They just want to get the hell out of here at this point. So I think that's the right call to make, and now they're not going to have an exorcism for the next skirmish. I mean, Lycan, yeah, he had to use his ultimate, but his ultimate's got a much lower cooldown, and he'd already used it, and he's only got less than a minute left for his own buyback. So I think Rave, they separate, they recoup, and they make another berserker push towards that lane.
Yeah, and it just cost them a couple of BKBs, but at this point they're all down to 5 seconds, so it's just that cooldown you have to be wary of, and they'll be A-okay with it. So, right back to it we go. Rave may be on the aggressive, no longer an Aegis of the Immortal, or if he still has it, but very soon to expire, so won't be able to count on it in this fight, but they can still take a pretty good skirmish here without the ultimate from DP, knowing that the courier was picked off and refresher is not out yet. This is a huge window for Rave, and if they can't make it happen now, I'm not sure what will be the final catalyst to actually seal the deal. It will be a long Rosh respawn. We saw the timer about 6 minutes away, so probably won't want to wait for that before they make the final push. IAP holding the high ground. Echo Stomp will whiff on the heroes. Jo caught inside of the Shivas, but Force Staff will keep him safe as Chrissy Timber chains to safety.
Still got over a minute for exorcism, so if you want to make a fight happen without having to worry about it, this is your best shot. So
there's a glyph, though.
They're waiting a bit. A lot of buybacks here available. Death Prophet has hers as well. And obviously the courier's been down, so she does not have that refresher to get the secondary exorcism up and ready to go. But it's taking a lot. They have a tough shell to crack in this mid-high ground. And it looks like Rave might miss their window of opportunity to make a push happen.
Yeah, they can't do it. They'll just back up and go right back to farming. We're getting to that point where heroes are getting capped out. I mean, Lycan can ditch this Vlad's for something else. Maybe a Satanic is where he'll want to go with his final item. just to have that lifesteal utility, but we're getting close to the point where these heroes are 6 slotted, and I mean, where do you go from here?
We'll see. As I
guess
I don't know. This is just such. It's just like so cautious play. You know, this is a long one. We're expecting at this point just how it goes. It's going to come down to one just huge clash that's going to happen, and it's going to be all over just like that. But there's your courier back. Now Death Prophet is not going to have just one scary exorcism. She's going to have 2 to go alongside Razor's 2 ultimates. Rave, as far as item investments, the BKB did come up on Sand King, but other than that, it's not like Jo got anything new. I think now it's, you know, Execration have a whole much more ammunition to work with in these fights. It's going to be rough.
Yeah, definitely agreed. Razor is the only buyback on cooldown right now, so he'll be the only one stuck if he gets taken out. But we'll see. The refresher on DP does throw a wrench into the mix as long as she can get off the double ultimate. Still is susceptible to some burst. 3,100 hit points. No slouch in the tank department, but as we saw before, there is a lot of burst potential on both sides of the coin. So looking to move into the barracks. Glyph still available. Goes in with a stun onto Jay. Close range Ice Blast will connect. Uses the BKB. DP will be all right, and now it's IAP that are on the aggressive. Defensive Stampede used. BKB by the Sand King also popped. Misses the stun. And that'll be essentially a BKB wasted on the Scorpion. And Barracks, no less worse for wear.
Man, they're just like throwing shots, but they're not connecting on the chin, either team. There's a little timidness here and there, but even if you do manage to take down a couple of these precious cores, there's just going to be buybacks ready and available. Oh, there's a jump, and it will whiff the hoof stop. Unfortunately, he eats up the multicast, but he's a big boy. He can take that kind of a punishment. But there goes your first exorcism going to be popped in BKB. They're looking to commit. They take down AA. They take down Sand King. Sand King does have a buyback, but they're already on the roll right now. As Death Prophet looking to clean out the rest, they will now be able to focus fire JL. And this is what I'm talking about. That was just the one exorcism to make it happen. Now they're going to have another in the barrel and ready to go by the time they approach the Rave base, which now they're going to have to start pulling out the buybacks. They might as well use it now, so the buyback just starts its cooldown. So I don't know why they're kind of weighing it out for, you know, in the meantime. Yeah, Timbersaw's trying to clear creeps and have a bit of a side push happening here, but I would imagine Execration, they're using the Boots of Travel. They're trying to make it go, and the bouncer Centaur is trying to slow them down a bit, and he's actually making them really work. He's like, you want to move past me? It's going to take a lot of effort, and it forces her actually to pull out the Exorcism. The second Exorcism now going to be used, and that's enough to take these two bad boys and make him kind of double back quite a bit.
Yeah, Centaur damn tanky right now with over 4,000 hit points, but Jay doing as much damage as he can. I think the plan from Rave is just to try to get her to use that ultimate as early as possible and limit the time that it does damage to the structures. And frankly, their ploy is successful. It's going to expire in just a couple seconds here. They may get the melee racks mid. There's a glyph, and it won't come out in time to save the barracks. Now Jay just heads top, but the Exorcism has expired. Heroes starting to come back. Lycan has a buyback available, but will hold it for a bit longer. Now the rest of the fight coming in. There's your buyback from Lycan. Emma Stone gets dropped by the Timbersaw. They'll go on to Chemo, who does use his Ghost Scepter, and IAP will be repelled here. It's a matter of how many losses can they mitigate. And
wow,
Chrissy,
they're going to play it so safe. They just see the buyback there, and they get out. And Jay had already committed the shapeshift, and by the time he gets to the shapeshift, it's going to be near expired. He now finally catches up there with Razor, pulls out the Abyssal Blade, locks him in place. Now the Ice Blast is going to whiff. They just simply Yules him up, and they're just going to walk away from this one if they can. And look at that, the nice little silence even coming in from Jay. Oh, Execration playing this very nicely. It's very safe, but they're going to be able to get away from this one if possible. They do take down the other Titan. They do take down the supports. Not too crazy from that one, but it does end up leaving their cores to get all the way back and into the base. And Death Prophet still has a buyback ready to go. Razor will have his in one more minute, so this is Rave's opportunity to open up as best as possible on this base.
Yeah, no Exorcism, though. That's the big problem here for the Radiant side. Fox gets jumped on. Razor does not have a buyback available for another 50 seconds. He'll end up going down, and it might actually be Rave that get the better of this ping-ponging, pushing type game that's starting to unfold before us. Now the Death Prophet, isolated from the Yules, will come back down to earth, gets finished off, will buy back straight away. Now Chemo gets locked down. IAP in big trouble. The double buybacks used. They've got no glyph available now. All five alive on the side of Rave. Jay comes in, gets hexed, gets abyssaled, and now they'll chop him down, force out the BKB. He will survive back to the well, and they bait out the Centaur. Now the Skywrath is respawned. They'll have the damage to bring him down, but they've lost not their mid lane of barracks. There's backdoor protection here. There's no creeps in the base. Oh no,
he's working
Rave
hard to get it.
Quite do it. They'll get off the ranged barracks now. They'll destroy Emma Stone, but it's still a 4v3 on the field. Can they do it here, Cattle Guy? Oh,
it's up now.
He gets abyssaled, gets off the Yules. He'll be able to survive. Now the return. The ultimate from Sand King doesn't do a hell of a lot. He still ends up going down. They'll lock down Jo. He doesn't have a buyback available either. No way to survive this one. Uses his BKB. Ultimate up in 1 second. He might actually live. Oh, if the Lycan can get out of this one, it'll be good news. But the Ghosts will chase him down. The 650 movement speed just barely enough.
Oh, man, he does manage to make it out. He's got a long road to get back to the base, unfortunately, though, as it looks like IAP are like, all right, guys, back the other way. And they're just going to stroll down. And this has been happening for the last, like, 20 minutes, it feels like. It's just all the way to one side. Okay, fight works out. Now back to the other side, boys. And they just travel on home. I hope they pack lunches because they are just
Red Rover, dude.
Exercising themselves up and down the map and back and forth. And now we're already all the way back into the Rave's base where we'd already seen the destruction of this mid lane. And now pressure's going to be on as now they're going to have to pull out a couple of buybacks to try to defend out the rest of their home base.
And Jay's already used his refresher, so has another exorcism and will hopefully be able to use it to a pretty decent avail. There is a glyph for the Dire. So they can't really just rush the throne, but it looks like that'll be their strategy. BKB used by Fox, stealing as much damage from Jo as he possibly can. Fairly successful on that front, and now the 2x out onto Chrissy. One of the tier 4s about to go down. Jay uses his BKB, stands his ground. They will try to go for the win, but they're going to have to kill some heroes first. Jo taking a lot of damage, but just barely survives, turns it around, and the Timbersaw will go down. That's the last buyback. Elder Titan, the only one with a buyback available. Now they lose their Razor. The Exorcism soon to expire. They get one of the tier 4 towers, force out the glyph, but they won't be able to win the game off this. Now Boombox, he gets isolated. Away, he'll get isolated also. He'll end up going down. It's 2 dead, but they don't have buybacks. All right, one of them has a buyback. He'll use it. There you go. Razor is dead for 100 seconds. So maybe, just maybe, this is the window for our Dire side. But wait, we've got a Rosh. So, nope, never mind.
All right, now time out, everyone. It's time to take care of Rosh now. Get a hold of this extra Aegis would definitely be to the benefit. Rave could definitely go for this one if they want, but I don't think that's it.
Well,
looks
maybe
like
they'll actually go for the base.
They're just trucking. All right, guys, back the other way. Now they're going to head all the way down to the southwest corner to the other side of the base to try to get this one completed now in their benefit. Now, Death Prophet had expended both exorcisms. It's going to be another 40 seconds before she can pop the refresher and at least have one ready to go. Razor's got a whole other minute before he can get back in this one. He has no buyback. Jo moves in. He does not also have a buyback. He needs 2 more minutes and a little bit of extra gold now. He pulls out the shapeshift and they're looking to break high ground. They get big damage here on the Elder Titan. He goes down. He has no buyback. Now they turn their attention towards the Ogre. Pulls out a Gold Scepter, and meanwhile, Jo pops his BKB and Shapeshift. They want this Death Prophet. She pops a BKB. He's hunting him down. The big bad wolf. Can he bite her on the rear end and get this one done? He can. Death Prophet is down for 2 minutes with no buyback. Both cores down. This is Rave's chance now to do the damage, and they know they can't contest as both cores have fallen. Execration. They call the game right there, and man, that was back and forth. But Rave, they had to work so hard to get this victory.
That was just game 1. We've still got 4 more to go for our coverage tonight. We're not going to delay too much longer, folks, as we're already 30 minutes behind schedule. So next match going to be coming up straight away. I'm Zyori. That's Coddle Guy. We've got MVP Phoenix versus Rave coming up in a jiff.